Welcome in, Hawks fans. Your boy Bryce Lewis back at it again for another Believe in Hawks episode. The Hawks complete their first preseason game of the new season, beating Indiana on a Seth Lundy game winner tonight, as a lot of things came out of that game that we have to talk about on the podcast. Hawks winning 131-130 over the Pacers. A lot of things to touch on. Obviously, the biggest thing is the number one overall pick, Zaccharie Risacher, with a fantastic performance tonight in his first taste of live NBA action outside of the Summer League. So we're going to talk about all that, all my impressions from the game that was tonight in Atlanta. Just in case you guys did not know, the Hawks will no longer be going to Miami this week. They were supposed to play, I believe, Thursday, but now will be postponed to next Thursday. Actually, let me make sure I get that 100% correct for you guys real quick, because they got postponed. So it's actually getting postponed to next Wednesday, because they play Oklahoma City next Thursday due to Hurricane Milton. So they're going to play that game next week. So the Hawks won't play again until next Monday against the Philadelphia 76ers back in Atlanta. So they'll play 3 games in 4 days. They play Oklahoma City and Miami back-to-back at that point. So just wanted to get that out there for people who did not know when the next time the Hawks actually played again. But like I said, a lot to talk about from today's preseason game for the Hawks. And let's just go ahead and dive right into it. And obviously, before we talk about anything else, we got to talk about Zaccharie Risacher. Risacher tonight kind of put everything on display, everything that he has in his bag. I think he displayed it tonight: the shooting, the passing, the defense, the energy, just all of it tonight was shown by Zaccharie Risacher in a very, very impressive performance for the young rook who's looking to make a name for himself. As people have mentioned, Zaccharie has not gotten a lot of media attention. He has not gotten a lot of media praise. He has not gotten all this hype that previous number one overall draft picks have gotten. Obviously, coming from a draft that a lot of people did not believe was a really good draft. And they felt like him being the best player of the draft was representative of that. But so far, through the small bits and pieces of action we have seen, he has looked good. Now, obviously, we do have to take into account this is the preseason. So even though he looked good tonight, which he really did, we do also have to keep in mind that the teams are not running their full stuff, their defensive game planning, all of those things. So we do have to keep that in mind. But in saying that, he looked very impressive tonight. Zaccharie Risacher in 23 minutes of action, 18 points, 3 rebounds, 2 assists, 7 of 9 from the floor, 3 of 4 from the three-point line, and was plus 15 off the bench for the Hawks tonight. And we like I said, we saw everything. We saw the passing. Obviously, there was a play where he hit a between the legs backwards pass to Clint Capella for an and one for Clint. Obviously, that got people off the bench. That got people excited seeing that type of bag. Zaccharie actually, after the game, was interviewed by Bob and Neek and said that he's actually never done that in a game before. So he said, this is the first time I've done a pass like that in live game action. So that just tells you right there that he's feeling good. This coaching staff loves giving these players a green light and to show their stuff, and that's why. So really good from him. Like I said, you saw really good energy from Zaccharie tonight. There was even a point in the fourth quarter where Risacher was playing some point because they didn't have Kobe or Trey on the floor. So he was kind of playing some point guard for a little bit as well with that unit. Position right near the basket. Nobody, Pacers forgot about him, got an easy cut to the basket there. And really just kind of moving around the floor, things like that. I would say a lot of the things you might have also seen tonight comes from the fact that he has played professional basketball for a few years before coming here. So his ability to read the game may be a little bit higher than some guys coming out of college in the U.S. So that obviously maybe was something that showed tonight and showed in his performance, because the talk of this game is going to be Risacher. Risacher played a really, really good game. I mean, and listen, Summer League, we were talking about, his shot wasn't falling. Tonight, his shot fell. Like I said, he got good looks, made them. His first basket came on a contested turnover. They turned the ball over, passed it up ahead to Risacher. He was able to contested shot at the rim, make it. Kind of showed you the touch tonight as well with his game. You're seeing touch, you're seeing passing, you're seeing shooting, you're seeing the ability to cut, you're seeing movement with him. And obviously playing with a guy like Trae Young is just going to make the game easier for him. But at the same time, Risacher may be showing the league and showing the coaching staff, I can make the game easier for other players as well. And I've mentioned it multiple times tonight that I think that overall team passing of the Atlanta Hawks has improved. I mean, if you think about last year's team, pretty much Trae, DeJounte were your main playmakers and Jalen. And then you kind of hope to get playmaking from other people, right? That with this team, especially if you watch tonight's preseason game, you saw a lot more playmaking just in general across the team. And Risacher was one of the big factors in that tonight. So Risacher really playing well. I know a lot of people, Hawks started with Trae Young, Dyson Daniels, DeAndre Hunter, Jalen Johnson, Clint Capella tonight. And I know a lot of people coming out of this game were like, all right, Hunter did not have a good first half at all. Had 4 assists, but did not make a single basket. And some people were kind of like, can we go ahead and just start Risacher over Hunter? I know a lot of you probably are thinking the same thing. Let's start Risacher over DeAndre Hunter. I know that's what you're thinking. Listen, I gave this disclaimer before the game. Quinn is going to use different lineups throughout the preseason, so we may not actually know what the starting lineup is till opening night. So please do not over-exaggerate on these lineups unless he uses the same starting lineup every game of the preseason. And then even that with Quinn, I mean, he could be doing that just not to tip his hand, knowing how he likes to keep information close to the vest. So really, really good for Risacher tonight. Definitely give your thoughts on how you thought our number 1 overall draft pick, Zaccharie Risacher, did tonight in the comments. How do you think he did? What did you think he did well? What are some things you want to continue to see moving forward? Just anything that you have on our young rook tonight and how he played, as he played very impressive in his first live taste of NBA action. But if you get to the rest of the game, like I said, we're going to talk about the starters. Trae was Trae tonight, creating fouls, hitting a couple of one-legged threes. Don't know if that's something he's been working on. Hit a one-legged three tonight. Typical Trae, ball handling, shook an Indiana defender, hit a three. He looked good tonight. Looked like Trae Young. I think everybody pretty much when they were talking about the game on Twitter, talking about what they saw, they were like, Trae's Trae. Trae go be Trae. Trae go be great. So we're good there. We are good there. We are good there. Dyson looked good tonight to me. I think he was the second leading scorer. Dyson's been working on his game, guys. Dyson said this is a big year for him. He wants to show he can break out, and not just defensively. He wants to show he can score the ball. And the way he scored tonight, the way Dyson Daniels scored is kind of the way I feel like he's going to be able to get those 10, 12-point games, maybe 15-point games, because he's not going to cross you up, create a shot off the dribble. He's not going to do anything crazy. You know what I'm saying? He's not going to be this electric offensive player. But what he's going to do, take open looks. He's going to cut. You saw it was a play early in the first quarter, I believe. Yeah, first quarter. Trae Young had to pick up his dribble. Indiana was coming down on him. Dyson cut to the basket. Trae found him for an easy layup, easy dunk. That's how Dyson's going to get some buckets this year. And then he has a float game. He's had a float game. So there are some components to his offensive game that will allow him to be able to score. You know? And so because Dyson just plays with such a high basketball IQ. And so I think that will allow him opportunities to get really easy looks. Dyson, if he scores 15, it's not going to be contested shots the whole game. It's going to be a lot of easy looks for him, creating those looks for him through off-ball movement, and just get in. And like I said, knocking down open threes because he's going to have those looks. It's something he's been working on with Kyle Korver is the three-point shot, his mechanics. Dyson can hit that three-point ball at a decent clip That will help him be on the floor more for this team, because you also saw tonight his defensive IQ, what he did, creating some turnovers, being active on the defensive end, what we expected to see from him in tonight's game. Obviously, I mentioned Hunter. Hunter was not good tonight. Again, preseason. But knowing what we know about DeAndre Hunter, I know a lot of people are probably like, yeah, he kind of stinks. DeAndre Hunter, this has always been the whole thing with DeAndre Hunter. When he plays well and he's making shots, he is such a huge plus when he's in that mode for this team. He is a very big plus when he's doing that. But when he is not making shots, it really feels like it bogs down the offense. It becomes a negative, you know? And so, obviously, one thing I said DeAndre improved last year was that trying to impact the game outside of scoring, but him not being able to score, because he's going to get open looks. He has to be able to hit those looks. He's going to get open shots with Trey. And if he doesn't hit those looks, it feels like it just hurts the offense a little bit. So if he can make those open shots and make some plays, I think, obviously, I think that will be beneficial for this team, right? Even though, like I said, after what we saw from Zaccharie Risacher, I'm sure a lot of Hawks fans would rather just Zaccharie Risacher become the starter. Jalen Johnson, leading scorer for the Hawks tonight. I mean, 19 and 10 in 22 minutes. I mean, Jalen, and the one thing about Jalen tonight that was extremely impressive to me was Jalen really played with an aggression offensively. He was physical, because there was a lot of people who said kind of finessed around the basket at times, didn't use his size, strength, his power, his momentum to attack the defense and create either a foul or get a dunk or an and one. And tonight, I felt like you saw him become aggressive, willing to go into Indiana's defenders and really just be physical at the point of the rim. And, at times, did he get blocked a couple of times? Yes, but there were times where that led to him also getting some baskets. I mean, listen, he's expected to take a huge jump in his new role as number 2 option for this team. And if tonight is any indication of that, it could set up to be a really good season. We may be looking at 20 point a game Jalen Johnson tonight. I mean, really, really look good, I think, for him. I mean, Capella was Capella. I mean, there's really not much to say about him. I mentioned in my last episode, I think Capella will be better defensively just because the defense around him is better. So we'll see how that goes. Vic Krejci had an insane pass that you may have already seen. Insane bounce pass all the way from the other side of the court to the other side of the court, man. Just Vic Krejci, man. I've said it. He's someone I said he's the emergency player. Whenever we have an injury, Vic Krejci, man, I feel like he is a guy who I am so glad the Hawks were able to keep, because he's going to find him some minutes during the regular season. I promise you he's going to play in a few games this year, just because of what he brings to the table. And you never know if Quinn ever just feels like in a game, this is a game where I want to play Vic Krejci more, because he has that kind of value to this team. This team has, because he's another connector on the floor in terms of the passing. He's a part of what I've said when I said earlier about the passing, the team passing is much better. Vic Krejci improves that connector status. Because, you notice in the first half into the game that the starting lineup, when you think about it, you have 3 guys who can pass the ball: Trey, Jalen, Dyson. Clint really can't. Hunter does it, but that's not his game, right? And then you started seeing when they kind of got other guys in there like Risacher, and you have Dyson, and even Kobe or Trey or Jalen. Now you got all these passers on the floor. Now everybody can connect. Now everybody can say, oh, he can make a play for me. And you saw a much better flow offensively, especially because of that. So big shout out to Vic Krejci. Kobe Buffkin looked good tonight. I think made some really good passes at 4 assists, 9 points, 3 rebounds. Had a block shot late in that game. Showed the energy, tenacity defensively. You could tell his mindset, his defense. You could tell that he knows his role, and he's just trying to grow as a point guard, but also continue to do what he does well, which is the defensive end of the ball. He said it earlier today, pre-game, before the game, talking about He's been working on defense. He wants to be a better defender. And like I said, it's going to be great to see how he continues to develop. Kobe Bucket, I think, if there's any question about him being a backup point guard, I think he gave me hope tonight. And we'll see how the next few games go, because I'm not going to base everything off of one preseason game. But he gave me hope tonight that I think we probably have been looking, that backup point guard we've been looking for such a long time. We may have found him. Larry Nance, 11 points tonight, 3 rebounds, 3 assists. Larry Nance is going to be interesting because Okongwu, to me, clearly does not look like he will be ready for the start of the season. We don't know when Okongwu is going to be ready. We have no idea. Brad Rowland tweeted out that he saw Okongwu in July and said he was still limping. So that immediately, he said, to him, rose red flags, right? He had surgery, I believe, in mid-April from his toe foot injury. And now Larry Nance has just became such an important player for this team because a leader, he's been in the game, he knows how to play, he can hit the 3 ball, can space, a crafty defender, a guy who, he knows how to, I feel like I mentioned this in my last episode, he's kind of like Danilo Gallinari, kind of can help organize the team, being that veteran presence who plays, who can kind of organize things for everybody, get everybody right, which I think is really important for this team, especially with so much youth that the Hawks have. And so Larry Nance is, like I say, the perfect person to be the backup center while Okongwu is out to me because of the fact that he just basically, we're already playing an undersized center in Okongwu, so really that's not changing. But a guy who can, like I said, when he came into the game, spacing improved because he knows how to space the floor. And like I said, if he could hit some shots, obviously, almost had a monster dunk tonight. He could still dunk the ball. Probably a great option to fast break and pick and roll options, and for future games that we'll continue to see. But a guy who I think will definitely be able to man the ship while Okongwu's out. And then, like I said, it'll be interesting to see what happens when Okongwu comes back, because now do you shift him to backup 4? Because tonight there were times they used DeAndre Hunter at 4. So I don't know if maybe Quinn's thinking if we don't have Okongwu, DeAndre can play some backup 4, and then we'll just have Nance play 5. He also, I think Risacher played 4 at some point tonight as well. So he has some different bodies he can kind of throw at that backup 4 spot. Since Okongwu's out at center. So, and Nance will have to be the backup center. I feel like that has been established that he will be the backup center tonight for sure. So Larry Nance, man, really, really important veteran player who could be big for this team as we continue to move forward into the preseason and just seeing how his role continues to develop, of course. So let's see who else here. David Roddy got some minutes tonight, had 8 points. Played decent. Garrison Matthews missed his first 4 shots, hit 2 threes late in the fourth. Someone who probably just worked, first preseason game, guys are rusty, guys are trying to work their way back. Like I said, just really good to know that, hey, you need shooting, you got shooting. Garrison Matthews off the bench if you need it. Muhammad Gay didn't really do too much tonight. Had a scary moment in the game. Intercepted a pass and fell to the ground. Kind of hit his backside. Hit the ground kind of hard. He kind of stayed down for a minute. People kind of froze for a second. Eventually got up and stayed in the game. So that was definitely a good sight to see. Make sure he was okay. Obviously, a guy who lost a lot of his previous season due to injury. So very important for him to be able to come back out and play. And then obviously, like I mentioned, he only played 3 minutes tonight. But Seth Lundy, game winner. Seth is definitely a guy who I know, like I said, coaching staff, green light. Take the shot, shoot the shot. Don't be afraid to take the shot. This isn't the first time Seth Lundy's done it either. So a guy, obviously, I see him being primarily G League this year again. G League this year, get him so he can play. Him, Keaton, And it'll be interesting to see if they call Barlow down there. I don't know if they will because of the situation. Because I feel like you're going to probably put Gay down there, maybe too. I don't think you're going to put them both down there. So it'll be interesting to see what that looks like when they make that decision. And Barlow, even in 3 minutes of play tonight, there were times you could feel his size. Pause. He's 6'10", and there were times he was able to get his hands on some rebounds, the ball out, and it was a very, very, very small sample size. But he made some key plays down the stretch of that game to give the Hawks a chance to win, which they did. So that's kind of my impression of most of the players. They're really hard to defend. I mean, they just consistently move the ball, cut. It's kind of what I said when I was watching the game of when I said the way Indiana plays is how I think Quinn wants the Hawks to play, just consistently moving because it puts so much pressure on the defense, and it put pressure on Atlanta's defense. But one of the good things you saw tonight is even with that, the Hawks, when they got up, Hawks were able to come back, and then they would get up, and Hawks would come back. Because remember, a year ago, Indiana averaged like 147 against this team, and so the Hawks were never able to slow them down at any point in the game. And I think now, obviously Indiana will be a tough matchup just because of that. They're just going to be tough for the Hawks. But I think it's encouraging to see that they had moments of, okay, we can slow it down a little bit. We have moments where we can get back in the game because of that. So really, really good to see that from them. Because realistically, they I think they started off like it's like 22-5 in the game, and the Hawks were able to kind of cut into the lead. Kobe and Risacher came into the game actually and hit 2 threes back to back to kind of cut the lead down, and they were just kind of able to get back. And by the end of the first quarter, they lead by 4 because Trae Young hit one at the end of the first quarter. Great shot from Trae, just Trae, like I said, doing Trae Young things. Seeing that was encouraging, especially against that team, just because we know what they do. Because Indiana was pretty much playing a 10-man rotation in that first half. They're probably the first and second unit. So where the Hawks were kind of just throwing different bodies out there. So it was really good to see them be able to kind of fight back against them and kind of be able to make it like a game by the time the starters all from both sides came out. I don't think Halliburton played in the second half, but they still had some other guys in there that were going to be in the main rotation for the Indiana Pacers at the start of the second half. And Hawks, like I said, did a pretty good job. So obviously Pacers are a team that wants every game to be a shootout because that's what their strength is. So not surprised the scoreboard got as high as it did because that's just the Pacers. You got to score to beat the Pacers. So, and again, it's preseason, so you're not going to hear your guys are not going to go 150% all out on defense. Certain guys will, certain guys won't. I was watching the NBA TV broadcast and they were saying it's the preseason. Not everybody's using their sets. Not everybody's using their plays. Not everybody's putting in just like all this intense effort in a preseason game. So you can only gain so much from it. But like I said, it was good that they were able to, when they got down against the Pacers, they were able to kind of get back. Offense was a little janky early in the game, but they were able to kind of figure some things out as the game went on. The first unit in the first half, compared to the second half, was a different story. Second half, first unit looked much better. Looked way more, had better continuity, I thought, which is just part of it. Again, first time you've played in months as a team in live NBA basketball action. So kind of knocking off the rust and getting yourself ready to go. So really, really, like I said, a lot happened tonight in the preseason game. What are you guys' overall impressions of what you saw tonight or what you saw in the preseason game? Were you impressed? Were you not impressed? What do you want to see improve? What do you want to see them continue to do moving forward? Like I said, the Hawks will not play again until next Monday, hoping to get out to that game. So I may be at that game, which means the podcast wouldn't come probably till Tuesday if I was able to get out there, and so on and so forth. And so, like I said, really, really solid. Honestly, for a first preseason game, this was really fun. And I think the energy and vibes around this team was really, really high today. Like people were like, "Are the Hawks fun?" Like remember, so many people last year were kind of just saying this team is not fun. and I know, again, preseason, got to take with a grain of salt, but people were kind of like, the Hawks seem fun. Like, with all the youthful energy, Risacher showing out, Trae Young, Jalen Johnson, like it feels like this is a fun team. Like, this should be a very fun team to watch. That's part of the overall product of watching a basketball team is, are they fun? Is it a good watch? Is this something I'm going to be thoroughly entertained by? And the Hawks seem to have the ingredients to be a very fun team this year. So I'll be very excited to keep up with this team as we continue on through the preseason, as we get ready for opening night in a couple of Wednesdays against the Brooklyn Nets. Obviously, another game I'm going to hope to try to get out to, got to try to be out there for opening night and State Farm Arena. Hopefully all y'all, maybe some of my listeners will be at that game. If y'all get out there and y'all see me, definitely say hey to your boy. I definitely want to link up with the listeners of the podcast for sure, man. But before we go, obviously, if you enjoyed this Believe in Hawks episode, you watch this on YouTube, subscribe to the channel, like the video for more Believe in Hawks content. If you are listening through audio, Spotify, Apple, whatever platform you're listening to this through, definitely go ahead and give this podcast a rating or a review, either one or both, to show love so more people can find out about this podcast, and tell your friends about Believe in Hawks so they can also come over to this podcast and we can all have a great conversation about Hawks basketball. We're going to have guests on throughout the season. If you've been through my channel, you've been with me for a minute, you know the type of guests we bring on here all over the Atlanta Hawks community and also from the NBA community. So we're definitely going to have a fun year, and I'm excited for what's ahead for our Atlanta Hawks. But that's all I got for you guys. It's your boy, Bryce Lewis. We'll see you next time.